I love introducing new groups, factions, and organizations into my games. It adds this depth to the world and makes the game more fun for the players. However, it also causes its own problems. For instance, in my Pathfinder 2 Eberron game, my players have now encountered the following factions: House Kundarak, the Halflings of Lowbrook, the Jarashtar Orcs, the Dwarves of Frostmantle, the Dromites, the Emerald Claw, the Followers of Durn the Corruptor, House Jarasco, Priests of the Sovereign Host, and Cultists of the Dark Six. That was all by level 3, so you could say that I have a bit of an addiction here. An addiction to introducing new and interesting groups for my players to interact with. Now, that makes the game more dynamic and fun, yes, but it does complicate matters a bit. You see, not only have I added all those factions to the mix, but most of them have their own individual NPCs as members, which of course makes sense. Groups are composed of people after all. So the problem or complication that I've found is that I have so many factions and NPCs in the game that I now have to determine how each interacts with the characters. But not just that. Since individual relationships with factions and individual NPCs change, it's dynamic, I have to adjudicate how actions affect those relationships, and then remember where the characters stand with each faction and NPC. Furthermore, I need to know how that relationship, good or bad, affects the behavior of the group or NPC toward the characters. This is a complicated web that we game masters often weave for ourselves, isn't it? So what I did a couple years back is create a reputation system that I could use in my games to help keep track of the characters' standing with factions and individual NPCs, and also roleplay those factions and NPCs better at the table. This reputation system helped create a bit of order out of chaos, and as you may have guessed, I'm going to be going over the ins and outs of this reputation and favor system in this video today. It's compatible with virtually any game system, D&D, Pathfinder 2, and whatnot. And my team and I have refined the original version of the system to make it even better. Now, if you want to save yourself the hassle of taking notes and get all the charts and tables in the reputation system, you can pick up Friends and Foes, a reputation system on the DM Lair store. Also, during May and June, $25 DM Lair patrons will get it for free in addition to everything else. Lair Magazine, Foundry VTT packs for both 5th edition and Pathfinder 2, Escape from the Fey Adventures, and all the other goodies patrons get. Okay, now let's get into the meat of this reputation system. Reputation in general. First, there are 4 different levels of reputation that get tracked: global reputation, major location reputation, group reputation, and individual reputation. We'll go over each in more detail, but you start at the top and work your way down. Characters will always have a global reputation. They'll probably develop a reputation at major locations they spend a lot of time at, and they may or may not have group or individual reputations. That just depends on how much they interact with specific entities. And if the characters don't have a reputation with a group such as the Sovereign Host, that group will use the character's major location or global reputation to determine how they interact with them. They simply have nothing else to go on. Now, this system uses a reputation scale, whereby the character's reputations at each of the 4 levels can vary between -10 and 10. This corresponds to a range of absolute evil to paragon of good. However, this has nothing to do with their alignments. This is just a relative measure of someone's perception of them. So if my characters are constantly thwarting the Sovereign Host, they will perceive them as bad guys, and they'll even have a negative reputation with them, even though my players' characters are in fact generally good characters who generally do good in the world. Characters always start out with the reputation at 0. That's basically neutral. And then their reputation increases or decreases based on their behavior in relation to the world as a whole, the major location, the group, or the individual. Increasing or decreasing the reputation can be left to the game master's judgment, but there are also specific actions that can increase or decrease reputation. It would be too tedious to list them all in this video, but we have included them in the published version Friends and Foes, a reputation system. Then, as the character's reputation improves, the scale goes up, likely into the positive numbers, +2, +5, +8, 8, etc. And then as the reputation decreases, the scale goes down, even into the negative numbers, -2, -5, and so on. And the character's reputation score with a location, group, or individual determines how that entity perceives and treats them, which we have specific rules fleshed out for, though you can also just wing it, of course. And that's basically the gist of the system at a high level. Now we're going to go into the details about the different levels of reputation. Global reputation. Global reputation forms the base of the pyramid and serves as the foundation from which the world sees the characters. Global reputation tends to change slowly and may not change at all for the character's first few levels. It takes time for word to spread about them, and low-level heroes' deeds are often not grand enough to cause immediate global renown. Instead, most adventurers will start building global renown by reaching a certain level of notoriety in one or more places, which will in turn cause word of their deeds to spread. Things that affect global reputation include having a negative or positive reputation with major locations or groups, committing acts of great evil or heroism, and the like. Now, global reputation isn't something that characters benefit from directly, though it influences their reputation at the other levels. That is, while characters can ask for favors and gain favorable pricing from having a particularly high reputation with a major location, they cannot get that by virtue of their global reputation alone. Instead, a high global reputation will raise the character's reputation at other levels, contributing to the benefits they attain. Benefits of having a high or low global reputation include other reputation levels increasing or decreasing, and even groups and NPCs attacking the characters on site. By the way, if you're finding this information useful, please give me a thumbs up and share this video with a fellow game master. And if you think I don't completely suck, why don't you drop me a comment down below? Either whisper me some sweet nothings or scream at me to suck it up and stop being such a complete major location reputation. Major locations represent the bread and butter of most campaign settings. These include capital cities, major trade hubs, and powerful population centers. Often these locations are closely related to nearby minor locations and have various groups operating within their borders. While it is far faster and easier to gain and lose reputation in a major location than it is globally, it still isn't a quick thing to improve, though it is easy to lose when engaging in true evil within their walls. Things that affect major location reputation include reaching different levels of reputation with groups or important NPCs in the area, and directly aiding or harming the location. The character's reputation in a major location will pay dividends more directly than global reputation. However, the biggest benefits are still how it changes the perception of individuals and groups in the area. Characters can often earn a price reduction, special accommodations in the city, or even a one-time reward as recognition for their deeds. However, keep in mind that even within a good aligned city, there are likely to be evil aligned merchants and individuals who may see the character's reputation in the opposite light to the rest of the populace. Now, with a negative location reputation come consequences, such as warrants for arrest or even dead or alive posters. You'll probably find that the character's major location reputation will have the most effect on gameplay, though for my games, group reputation takes the cake on that one, mostly because of how I run my games. Group reputation. Groups are the various organizations the characters will come into contact with regularly. They range from merchant guilds to city watches to criminal organizations. Sometimes they may serve as party patrons, such as House Kundarak does in my Pathfinder 2 campaign, sponsoring the characters and sending them on missions. Other times they are simply an organization the characters have to deal with regularly. The Emerald Claw or Durn the Corruptor fall into these categories for my PF2 players. How you use groups probably varies greatly, but you'll probably find that they are one of the main driving forces in your campaign. I mean, I know they are in mine. Group reputation is gained by assisting a group and its members, or at least by making friends with its members. It's easy to gain and lose reputation among a group because they tend to be relatively small and word travels quickly through their ranks. It wouldn't be surprising for the characters to reach maximum or minimum reputation with the group in relatively short order if they're dedicated to aiding the group and its members. However, it's it's equally possible to lose their reputation just as quickly. After all, if you harm a group member, word will reach all the other members far quicker. After all, if you harm a group member, word will reach all the other members far quicker than it would have if you harmed a random citizen in the city. Things that can affect group reputation include completing quests for the group, assisting allies or enemies of the group, or generally aiding or harming the group or its members. Okay, this is the level of reputation where the characters start to see the most direct and tangible rewards or penalties. Examples include receiving favors or discounted prices, or having to pay increased prices, such as for work done by members in a certain guild. The group might give out quests with better rewards as their reputation increases, or in the case of negative reputation, the group might start actively opposing the character's efforts, or even send hit squads after them. An interesting thought to consider: if the characters continually fail or disappoint a patron, such as House Kundarak, they may send them on a suicide mission with the hope of just getting rid of them. After all, they wouldn't want their guild secrets getting out, would they? And just firing a group of misfits could put them in a compromised position. Individual reputation. Individual reputation is fairly self-explanatory. Rather than talking about groups or locations or the entire world, this is the character's reputation on a direct personal level. Unlike the other reputation levels discussed thus far, individual reputation depends just as much on how the characters treat people as it does on quests and other actions. Individual reputation is also the fastest to gain. People can become fast friends when they connect in a meaningful way, and it's also the fastest to lose. However, it would be foolish to think that the sometimes fleeting nature of individual reputation means it's any less important than the others. In fact, it would not be a stretch to argue that individual reputation is the most important because it has the most direct mechanical benefits to the characters, which can apply in every situation. After all, having a high reputation in an entire kingdom is great, but having advantage on checks to persuade the king personally, well, that's a lot better. The characters might gain or lose individual reputation by things such as completing or failing at a task for the NPC, or succeeding or failing a charisma check with the NPC. Now, the effects of individual reputation are as varied as the individuals themselves. Merchants, for example, might offer better or worse prices when selling goods, while a tavern owner will offer better or worse deals on rooms, or perhaps juicier gossip. More than any other type, individual reputation provides the characters with the benefits of friends that help them or the detriment of enemies that oppose them. However, be careful not to try to track individual reputation for every NPC the characters happen to run across. That would just get complicated fast. Instead, just track reputation for the important characters in the campaign, or the ones that reoccur most often. Tracking reputation. Generally speaking, all you need to track reputation is a simple chart like this one. You'll definitely want to track global reputation and major location reputation. However, for groups, I would only track reputation for those groups you've decided will play a major role in the campaign, and really the same for individuals. If you try to track too much, you're going to lose your mind. Now, if you think this reputation system might be handy in your games, don't forget that you can get friends and foes a reputation system on the DM Lair store, or by becoming a $25 patron. It includes more details, including the tables the system uses. Now, if you'd like to learn about the best Pathfinder 2 house rules you can use in your D&D 5th edition game, watch this video right here. And until next time, happy game mastering.